Welcome back, everybody. Take a break with Stephen Shamus.
Good to see you, my friend. How's it going?
Every day's a good day above ground.
Yeah, I hear you. I got my Maryland shirt on, repping.
I have my Third Eye comics in Maryland. Third Eye comics.
Are they related to Third Eye Blind? The band?
I hope that would be amazing. I would go to that concert / signing at the store if it was true.
I know that would be cool. That'd be cool. All right, what do we got today, Alex?
We're gonna come back to some old favorites that things have just been going crazy with, and talk about some stuff that maybe we've never really talked about. We're gonna talk a little Psylocke.
Pleasant dreams.
Careful. No knife in the back this time.
We're bringing Betsy back. We're gonna talk Sandman. Some big trailer reveals just recently.
Death has family, desire, destiny, despair.
Which one have I got?
Dream.
Then we're going to talk a little Maxx, which I don't think we've ever talked about.
Push it down and go on. Lots of other people could use my help, but somehow I always come back to old Maxx. He really thinks he's some kind of flaming superhero. Not that the city couldn't use one.
And then Moon Knight, specifically the 2014 series.
Yeah, it's amazing, Alex. I mean, every week I'm like, oh, is something going to pop? Is something going to hit? And there's always something mentioned on Deadline or some story here or there. Yeah. And then it's like, I start doing my research. I'm like, holy cow, look at this explosion. I mean, we talked today about the prices on some of this stuff. I don't even know where it's coming from, Alex. And it's like across the board.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Okay, what are we going to start with today, Alex?
Yeah, it's like Psylocke. We've talked a little bit about Betsy in the past, but this main series, this 2010 series, is just blowing up.
Yeah, so Psylocke is a character that's been around forever.
Yep.
But in particular, the 2010 series has exploded in value.
Yeah.
What is going on in the 2010 series that's different than the other series of Psylocke?
I just think you have a lot of things hitting. You have amazing covers. You have Claremont, writing a character he knows very well. You have Declan Shalvey doing a bunch of the interiors, and Christopher Yost coming in. Like, there's a lot of things in this that is big. Just the covers alone. I mean, Betsy Braddock, Psylocke, is a very popular character, and this series is just taking off. And again, you're talking about 2010 books. These are low print run. These aren't 1995, 1998. I mean, maybe 98 to 2000, you had some lower ones for Marvel, but especially low print run book, X-Men books that aren't the main series, very low print runs.
Yeah, I mean, the storyline is a girl called Hope.
Yep.
And then Steve Dillon actually did some artwork in here. Yep. The late great Steve Dillon. So yeah, but I mean, you're right about the artist. You've got a David Finch cover. You've got Harvey Talabeo art.
Right.
You've got Sandu Florio art. You've got a lot of different artists in there that are very, very popular. So Psylocke #1, January of 2010, 56 blue label, 20 gold label, 9.8. About a $350 book in 9.6. I couldn't even find a 9.8. Those are $80 raw, Alex. That is hard to believe. That book's only 11 years old.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Find them.
Right?
Can't find them. You're not going to find them.
Got the David Finch cover. Yeah. Okay, listen to this one. The second print, 21 blue label, 1 gold label. It's got a Holly 9.8. It's got a Harvey Talabeo cover on it. $375 in 9.6, $250 to $300 raw, which means a 9.8 would probably be $1,000.
Yeah, and that's just another color tint on that cover, I believe. I don't think it's not even a new cover.
I mean, what is going on with these books? Okay,
it's crazy.
Psylocke #2, February of 2010, 24 blue label, 5 gold label, 9.8. That's a $350 book in 9.8, $40 to $60 raw. Yukio Wolverine make an appearance. It's got a David Finch cover with Harvey Talabeo. It's a first appearance of a character called Jinn, Jinn. I don't know if that's significant or not, but that book is very expensive.
Who knows?
not yet, right? And then Psylocke #3, 10 blue label, 2 gold label, 9.8. That's a $15 to $20 raw book. And then Psylocke number 4, the last issue in the series, April 2010, 10 blue label, 4 gold label, 9.8. That's a $20 to $25 raw book. But those number 1s and number 2s are absolutely insane, Alex.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
And crazy. It's on fire. Okay. So what do we got next? Because we know there's some media coverage attached to this one.
Sandman.
Right. So Sandman's been a book that's been incredibly popular for a while.
Yes.
And the books have always been expensive. Always.
Yeah. Nothing
have,
crazy. Affordable. Very affordable books.
They've jumped crazy when that trailer came out. So talk a little bit about the trailer, the series, and who is Sandman and why is Sandman so popular all these years?
Yeah, I mean, Sandman, again, one of Neil Gaiman's probably first big works. I mean, he was doing stuff. He was a writer. He'd been doing stuff in London. I don't know if he had been written any kind of novel yet, but this is one of his first big things. The series was almost canceled after issue like 9, and they just kept chugging along, and then it lasted 50 issues or so, 80 or something, all the way to the end. But I mean, this is a big book. This is one of the DC perennials. This is an evergreen trade paperback. People in the store, I've never read comics, what do I read? Sandman's a very easy sell to people. From what Neil Gaiman's tweeting about, I mean, it's going to be almost a shot for shot TV to comic. So I mean, it's going to be very true to the comic. And the comic wasn't too fantastical from what you've seen with like God's Good Omens and some of the other stuff on TV now. Like the amount of money you could spend on special effects, this is going to be great. Sandman is Morpheus, who was imprisoned for like 100 years. No one's seen Sandman. He's part of the like kind of gods in charge of stuff, and someone captures him to use his powers. He breaks free, and it's the first kind of handful of issues is him kind of reclaiming his throne as the king of the dreaming, and reclaiming a bunch of his stuff. Very good book. Again, evergreen book.
Everything's gone crazy on Sandman.
Yeah,
especially the early issues 1, 3, 8 have been crazy. But we'll go through it really. We'll go through all of them right now.
Yeah.
So Sandman number 1, January of 1989. Wow, it's hard to believe. 32 years. My goodness. I actually do remember when these books came out. Scary. 898 blue label, 75 gold label, 9.8. Those books are up to $1,500 now. Sam Keith art and the Dave McKean covers. You know what kills me with these Dave McKean covers? I remember going to the shows in the early 90s, and Dave McKean would exhibit and have Sandman art for sale. And at the time, it was really, really expensive, which was probably a couple of $1,000s a cover. I can't even imagine what those early covers would sell for now. The Dave McKean
and I'm sure you were like, "Oh man, that's crazy. Those are too high."
Crazy.
And now it's probably
crazy,
quadrupled, if not more.
Yeah, 10 times that.
Yeah.
They were crazy high at the time. The Dave McKean covers were always expensive. Always, even 25 years ago, they were expensive. So first appearance of Morpheus, Wesley Dodds cameo, obviously Neil Gaiman's story. Okay, then Sandman 2, February of 89, 43 blue label, 3 gold label, $25 to $30 raw. I could not find any 9.8s for sale. Cain, Abel, Cynthia, Mildred, and Mordred. Appearances again, Neil Gaiman with a Dave McKean cover. Here's what's interesting, Alex. You're going to start to see this. The books are all $25 to $30 raw. However, in 9.8, they're all very, very expensive.
Yeah.
That's not unusual in the sports card world. It started to come over to the comic world. That shows you the print runs were very high on those books.
That's it.
It's like when we talked about Batman 428 and Superman 75. Print runs were very high. Those books were available, but in the high grades, they're not available.
Nice, perfect.
That's
copies.
why you're seeing the raw books cheap.
Yep.
Normally we don't see that. Raw books cheap, 9.8's very expensive. We're going to start to go through that very quickly. Sandman 3, March of 89, 72 blue label, 9 gold label, 9.8s. 9.8s are selling for $625. $625, but they're still only $25 to $30 raw. They printed a lot of copies of those books.
Yes, they did.
John Constantine's in that book. Again, Neil Gaiman
early Constantine
story.
Appearance. Yeah,
very early Constantine, very early. Sandman number 4, April of 89, 114 blue label, 7 gold label, 9.8. That's about a $675 book in 9.8. It's a $300 9.6. But again, they're only $25 to $30 raw.
Yep.
Very, very interesting. First appearance of Lucifer Morningstar, another popular character.
Yep.
Demon appearance, again, Neil Gaiman, Sam Keith, art, and then Dave McKean cover. Sandman number 5, May of 89, 96 blue label, 10 gold label, 9.8. There's $400, $25 to $30 raw. This one has a lot of DC characters in it: Scarecrow, Martian Manhunter, and Mr. Miracle. Sandman number 6, June of 89, 71 blue label, 5 gold label, 9.8s. That's about a $275 book in 9.8, 115 in 9.6. There's no other than the normal Sandman story. There's no first appearances or anything in that one.
These are low. These are low pops for a 1989 book.
Very,
71,
very low
96.
pops, and you're not getting any more of them. You're not going to find that many more. Sandman number 7, July of 89, 44 blue label, 1 gold label, 9.8. That's about a $350 book in 9.8 and $200 plus in 9.6. Again, Scarecrow's in the story. Then we come to Sandman 8. This book is on fire. Fire. It's more expensive than number 1.
Yeah.
August of 89, 283 blue label, 15 gold label. It's a 9.8. 1600 to 1800. It's a $500 book at 9.6, $325 in 9.4. First appearance of Death. We all assume that Death is going to be in the series.
Yeah.
I would think that's
a big part of it. Yeah.
That's a big part of it. And then there was a recalled comic, Alex. Talk a little bit about that. There were 9 blue label, 0 gold label, 9.8s. There's 20 blue label and 3 gold label, 9.6s. I can't find copies anywhere. Talk a little bit about the recalled copy. What happened and why is that book so scarce?
So there was a print run where the initial run of number 8 had a editorial by Cameron Berger, who was like the editor of Vertigo and everything at the time. They decided at some point that they wanted to switch it, and they put another editorial by Janet Kahn, who was another person that worked in DC Comics for years and years and years. The theory is that the story/theory is DC is like, give us a couple copies with this stuff in it. We need it for trademark purposes. We need to get it done before you switch it out. The printers, instead of sending 5, sent 600 copies. Well, now they had all these copies, but they knew Neil was going to be doing a signing in California. So they sent this 2 stores a case each, 2 cases each of these books to give out during the signing. So of course they go, the store has them, they give them out, they, people have them signatures on them. And then DC is like, okay, well, we're going to put out the regular number 8 with the different stuff. Once it was all found out and everything was going through, the 600 copies already hit the street. The store had given them away and sold them. People had taken them. Neil had grabbed them, and now they're available. You just can't find, you have to wait for them to come for sale. And they're extremely hard. Not only is it a recalled comic that are hard to find, but it's also a first appearance of Death, which is popular on its own. So, this is probably one of the most rare modern comics.
I would think that if the other one is 16 to 1800, I don't know how this one wouldn't be $10,000.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
High.
Okay. Crazy story. All right. Alex's pick of the week. What do we got, Alex?
Rest in peace, Toys R Us. I missed the place so much.
I used to love Toys R Us. Toys R Us and KB Toys. Remember KB?
KB's had the best deals. 3 for $10s. It was great. They had the best deals. Toys R Us. Yeah, I was looking at some stuff the other day, and a buddy of mine sent me some stuff, and he was like, "Oh, would you be interested in these things? I have them. I used to work at Toys R Us in high school," and he had these vinyl banners from episode 1 where they would hang from the ceiling. It'd be like, "Oh, episode 1 toys." And I started looking them up, and there's a couple sales here and there, but they're not. You can't find them, and it made me just think of like how many people might in their garage have old Toys R Us displays just waiting for to sell them or give them away or what have you. It's just interesting to see that people, even like in the 90s, especially during episode 1, where everybody was buying the toys, and that was a huge thing, and everybody's got episode 1 toys. That's nothing. But like the displays and stuff, like those aren't easy to find. A lot of that stuff's like it was made well.
And it got trashed. You know what I used to like? I used to love like little discount bins. These the bins with the you
go diving in it.
Yeah, there we go. Always be like, which looking for figures that you would want and need.
I miss the Toys R Us in Times Square. I probably bought something there maybe
Oh
once
my
or
God.
twice, but
That
that place
store
was
was awesome.
amazing. Yeah.
The store was awesome. You know what? That store, no matter how hard a toy or a video game was to find, they always stocked that store.
Yeah.
That store was always stocked.
Yep. Yep.
I
They didn't
remember.
have bare shelves. It was a huge store.
No. Yeah, it was their flagship. Okay. All right. What do we got next, Alex?
Let's talk a little Sam Keith. We just talked about him during Sandman, but let's talk about his own the Maxx.
Right. So I have to tell you, it almost feels like a week doesn't go by on these podcasts where we don't have another nostalgia product from the 90s where it's like, this is blowing up, Alex, right? This is another one that's absolutely going crazy.
Yep.
We talked about Grendel last week with Primer. Maybe that's what's driving the Maxx. People started collecting the primers. I don't know, but these books are on fire. And the original 93 Maxes, they did make a lot of copies.
Yeah, there's a lot.
But there are certain versions or variants that are not easy to find, and we'll get into them because some of them were Wizard mailaways. My recollection is not 100% accurate, but I will give you the best of my recollection because remember, it is 28 years ago, so it's not like.
And you were
fresh.
You're a quite young person back then, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I was 19 years old. It was very, very young. Okay, so Primer number 5, put out by Kamiko in 1983. 11 blue label, 4 gold label 9.8s, 26 blue label, 5 gold label 9.6s. It's about a $1,500+ book in 9.8. It's a $300 book in 9.6. It's the first published Sam Keith art, the first appearance of Maxx the Hare without, it's not a double X, it's 1X. It's got a Will Brown cover. And so that was really the start of it all for him. Very, very difficult book to find in any condition, quite frankly.
Yes.
Okay. Then you had the Maxx number 1 from March of 93. 498 blue labels, 78 gold label, 9.8s. That's about $150 book. Again, Sam Keith. Then there was the glow in the dark version. For some reason, I can't remember how you got the glow in the dark. It wasn't an incentive book.
It might have been I think it was a mail away. A lot of those were
maybe it was a mail away, right?
Yeah.
67 blue label 9.8s, 15 gold label 9.8s. That's about a $550 book in 9.8. It's a $200 book in 9.6. There's also a newsstand cover. For some reason, CGC does break these out in newsstands. I don't know why. There's 3 blue label, 0 gold label, 9.8s. That's about a $20 raw book. Then we get into the Wizard 1/2, the Maxx 1/2, which came out in June of 93. I felt like it came out later. It is interesting that it only came out 3 months after Maxx number 1. Usually we waited a while. So I would probably tell you, we probably didn't sell as many as we did on a lot of the other ones. It was the first Wizard mail away. And it was only 3 months after Maxx number 1 came out. Now, all the Image books were selling crazy back then.
Sure.
But Maxx was not as well known as Spawn,
right?
Wildcats,
right?
Some of the other
Cyber
ones,
Forces,
right?
yeah.
Cyber Force, right? All those, Youngblood. So the big 4 were Youngblood, Cyber Force, Spawn, and Wildcats, right? Those were the big 4.
Savage
The other
Dragon
ones didn't sell. Savage Dragon, right? The other ones didn't sell as well. So anyway, Maxx 1/2 came out in June of 93. There's only 27 blue label and 3 gold label 9.8s. I suspect that's due to the value because those are only $85 in 9.6. So maybe they'd be $150. And quite frankly, if you have to pay $35, $40 to get it graded, wait 6 to 9 months to get it graded, hopefully get a 9.8. By the time you pay your eBay fees, your PayPal fees, and all these other things, you're gonna make $20, $30. You might as well just sell it raw.
Yeah.
So in any case, Sam did the cover and art, and I remember this book. Now, there are 4 other versions of the book. The regular Maxx had a purple foil cover on it. Then there was a blue, a gold, a red, and a silver. Let's talk about the gold ones first. There's 10 blue label 9.8s, 3 gold label 9.8s. These were sent out as gifts. They came in not a manila envelope, like a Wizard folder. It came with a certificate of authenticity and a Maxx gold label. I believe, I can't remember for sure, these were definitely gifts. I believe maybe we emailed them 1 per retailer. The only reason why I say that is because back then Marvel did the Spider-Man Platinum 1 per retailer. It was not as common as it is today because it wasn't as simple back then. The distribution wasn't as simple. I think maybe we saw the Spider-Man 1 Platinum as like a really, really nice gift that Marvel did. And I think maybe we tried to replicate that because the way it's presented in there, it may have also gone through the Diamond Retailer Summit, because back then the Diamond Retailer Summit would get 3,000 people to show up. Like they would get a lot. So it was either an RRP variant or a store, one per store variant. I believe that that's what it was. I did not realize how hard these were to find. I used to have them.
Sure.
But we threw them out in the garbage.
Yeah.
We threw them out in the garbage like everything else, Alex. I wish I could find that box again. Okay. Now let's talk about the blue, the red, and the silver. The blue foil is one blue label 9.8, one gold label 9.8. The reds and the silvers are double zeros. There are some lower grades available. These books were test printed at the printer. I can't remember if they sent them to us before or after we went to press, but I believe at the time we had printed the purple label. We knew we were going to do purple because that was the color of the Maxx.
Right.
We were going to make an alternate edition for the retailers. I believe the printer sent us sample copies of what it would look like in all the colors. If I recall, there was somewhere between 5 and 10 copies printed of each color variant, and they sent them to our office. I had all of them.
Sure.
Now, some of them are for sale on eBay today. I don't even know how those people got them. They trickled out somehow.
Yeah.
But they are impossible to find. There's literally 5 to 10 copies of each of them printed, period, in existence. So when they do come for sale, they're a minimum of $5,000. The super hardcore Maxx fans buy them. They're extremely, extremely rare. I think the only way you could have gotten one is if you knew somebody at Wizard and they were, by the way, they were probably laying around the office.
Yeah.
Like, hey, look at these. Which one do we like best?
Cool. Yeah.
Let's go
leave
with
them
gold.
out in the hallway so people could read them. Yeah.
And by the way, they probably printed 5 gold ones too, but gold was ultimately the cover that we chose. So anyway,
Crazy.
That's the story with those. They're $5,000 minimum to buy any of them in any grade. So that's a cool story there. Okay. What are we finishing up with tonight, Alex?
Mark Spector, The Moon Knight.
Yeah. So obviously we know Disney Plus is coming out. So the Moon Knight stuff has already been escalating. This series in particular has absolutely gone bonkers crazy, more than the other Moon Knight series. Yep. Why this series? Are they basing the show on this series or the characters? What's going on?
I think this is the first time that there's been a million Moon Knight series, the one in the 90s and subsequent. This is technically like volume 7 or something. But I think this is the first time that it kind of hit for every Marvel fan, not just the Moon Knight fans. And it's a Warren Ellis book, so I mean it was very good. There's a lot of things to it that probably will end up in the show. I mean the fact that he is more of a detective and / superhero more than just a superhero helps like bring the character down. And I think the Marvel Disney Plus series, I mean, we saw all with the Defenders stuff with Netflix where it was street level. I think this is where that street level is going to come from. You know, he's probably not going to be in space with the Guardians, but he's a street level hero. So I think a lot of the show might be taken from this, and it's a very popular series. I mean, this series sold really well. Yes.
So Moon Knight #1, Declan Shalvey, who we discussed earlier, cover. It's got the red stripe on it.
Yep.
Warren Ellis story, like you said, Katie is another Katie Cook cover, which we'll get to in a second. May of 2014, 23 blue label, 1 gold label, 9.8, $500 plus. This book is skyrocketing.
That is a low print.
Right. Then you have the Katie Cook animal variant cover. I don't see the appeal on this one.
Right.
But very maybe weird. People are just buying it. Very oddball cover. She's a great artist. It's
sure,
just
I love Katie Cook. It's an
unusual cover.
Yeah.
It's a hippo, right? 6 blue label, 2 gold label 9.8s. That's a $550 book too, maybe just because of its scarcity.
Yeah.
It's a $25 to $40 raw book. Then you got the big kahuna.
Yeah.
Scotty Young variant cover. I don't know what's going on with this one, Alex. $900 to $1,000, 31 blue label, 22 gold label, 9.8s. It's $150 to $175 raw. Now, Scotty's been doing a lot of these covers for years. We have not seen an expensive book like this.
I think this might be one of the first ones. I think, It was Avengers versus X-Men, which did the first. Midtown Comics had Scotty Young do the first baby cover. Avengers versus X-Men. This is right after that. So this might be the first starting of the baby covers, if not the first regular series baby cover stuff. And it's a great cover. I mean, it's a moon. He's hanging from the moon. It's a good baby cover.
Right. Okay. Then you've got the Adi Granov 1 in 50 variant edition, 29 blue label, 8 gold label, 9.8. That's about a $700 book.
Wow.
That came out, in the same time frame, and then it's about a $400 book in 9.6. Then Bill Sienkiewicz 1 in 75 variant cover, 29 blue label, 14 gold label, 9.8. That's about a $6,000 book.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy for a modern book.
$2,800 in 9.6, $800 roll. Well, you're starting to see that, Alex, more and more. These modern age high variants are going crazy. Then you have the second print, the Clon Shelby cover. It's the same as the first print. It's got a blue stripe. Came out in June of 2014. 3 blue label, 0 gold label, 9.8. That's a $60 to $100 book raw. And then the third print, the Clon Shelby, it's got a green stripe. That came out in August of 2014. 3 blue label, 0 gold label, 9.8. The last 9.8 sold for $1,000. It's also $60 to $100 raw. So these books are crazy. On fire. And I bet you can find some of these at the shows, not at these prices.
Probably. Yep.
All right, that does it for today. We thank you for joining us. If you have any questions, comments, or any other info you'd like to share with us, please leave it in the comments field. And we will see everybody next week. Same bat time.
Same bat channel.